What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to DSM pregame live. The Phillies dropped 3 of 4 in a brutal series loss to the New York Mets. Can they bounce back tonight versus the Reds? Lineup cards, pitching matchups, what I'm looking for, that and much more when we are back in 30 seconds.
Gets around in front. And Philadelphia has it.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to DSM Media as we stream to you guys live on our Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter channel. If you're new to the channel, head on over to @DSM_media on Twitter. Hit that follow button. Check the link tree out in our bio to take you to every social media platform we are available on. If you guys want to be interactive with myself on today's pregame show, head on over to the YouTube channel. Hit that subscribe button. Like this video. We greatly appreciate it. And that is where I will be able to interact with you guys, pull your comments up, get to some of your questions, thoughts, concerns about this Mets series, about that brutal loss that took place yesterday at Citizens Bank Park, and how the Phillies can and will bounce back versus Cincinnati Reds tonight, game 1 of a 4-game set. But this is different, guys. So normally my man George would be here with me. He's unable to get to it tonight. I would have just said, let's do the show tomorrow. But with how this Mets series played out and with how down and out everybody seems, I wanted to come on and just give my thoughts on what transpired over the weekend and how the Phillies can look to bounce back. So before we get into tonight's matchup, some quick news. Tyler Sear made 1 appearance, 1 inning, recorded 1 out. He was DFA'd today for the Phillies. And also, big news for the Philadelphia Phillies, Bryce Harper to begin his rehab assignment tomorrow, eyeing around a September 1st, September 2nd return. So that is some big news on the Phillies front in a positive matter. However, let's start with what took place yesterday. And I want to kind of piggyback off of the conversation that, was a little spirited today. It was a little heated on trending in the AM and kind of just give my thoughts on the whole situation, right? So there's 2 sides to look at it. Who is to blame for this series loss? Rob Thomson or the players? And not just the series loss, more so yesterday's loss and what transpired over the last 24 hours or so. And you can look at it from both ways, but let's first start with Rob Thomson. So the big question here is everyone is tearing him down for his decision to throw David Robertson Sunday after he threw him for the 6-out save Saturday night against the Mets when he threw almost 40 pitches. I think he threw 36, 37, 38 pitches somewhere in that ballpark. And I completely understand questioning that logic. But, however, when you look at how depleted the bullpen was, when you look at the fact that he just needed to win a game Saturday night, that was their best chance to win a game was to throw Robertson for 2 innings that gets the job done. He calls up the dugout yesterday afternoon, says he wants the ball. He's the guy. Give him the ball. You cannot really question David Robertson's want after that, but you can question, Rob Thompson's decision to throw him again after the workload in a high leverage, high stress situation he was involved in Saturday night's victory. That's not even where my mind goes to, guys. My mind goes to what happened after Robertson records the 2nd out. Like that's what I can't understand. So the more mind-boggling decision that Rob Thomson made, in my opinion, is you keep him in after he surrenders the home run to put the Phillies down by a run. He gets the next 2 outs. It looks like he's settling in, right? Maybe a little too late, but he settles in. He records the next 2 outs, and then you yank him. And then not only do you yank him, you yank the veteran arm that you trusted so much in that situation. You bring him out and put in a guy in Tyler Sear making his MLB debut in a 1-run game, 2 outs, top of the 9th situation versus the New York Mets. And this dude comes in and throws a meatball right down Broadway, 2 pitches in or 1 pitch in, it's a 2-run ball game. And then that's where my mind kind of goes to. My mind is it's not so much to throw Robertson again. It's to let him record the next 2 outs. He settles in a bit, and then you yank him, and that ultimately stuck the fork in the Phillies, because what happens then, the bottom of the ninth, they make some noise against Edwin Diaz, right? They get some base runners on. They score a run. It's the first time he surrendered a run in over a month or so, and they lose by 1. And where does that 1 run come in from? When Tyler Sear makes his debut. And Phil checking in from that conversation this morning on Trending in the AM. It's not wrong to blame Rob Thomson some for this weekend. It's not wrong at all. He obviously deserves some of the blame. But ultimately, if you're going to talk about, where the blame lies, and you want to question his decision making, his thought process here, for throwing Robertson again in the 4th game on Sunday, you have to applaud the decision in the bottom of the 8th when he pinch hit Gene Segura, and it almost looks like the smartest move of the entire season. When Segura comes in, 7-7 ball game, Brogdon's already blown a 7-4 lead. They've already blown a 4-run lead and a 3-run lead this game. That's not on Rob Thomson. That's on the pitching, right? And then Segura comes in, pops a line drive home run over the left field wall. He looks like the smartest man alive. And then the next decision comes to bite him in the ass. So it's definitely 110% okay to blame Rob Thomson some for this series loss, some for this loss yesterday in that 10-9 game versus the New York Mets. But ultimately, guys, this series was lost by the players. It is not Rob Thompson's fault that the ace and Zach Wheeler, that the second guy in the rotation, Aaron Nola, in their biggest starts of the entire season, came up incredibly short. They flopped in their 2 biggest starts of the entire year. The Phillies are 0-9 this season with those 2 on the mound versus the New York Mets. 0-9 with your top 2 guys on the bump against this team. Now, some of that could be some run support early on in the year. Some of that can go to these 2 just not showing up as they did in this particular series, but that's a problem. And then not only do their top 2 guys start, Bailey Falter comes out and throws a gem Saturday night, gives you a glimmer of hope to even up the series on Sunday with Gibson on the mound. You put up a 4 spot in the first inning, and that's not enough because Kyle Gibson can't put anyone away. Kyle Gibson struggles with control and command on Sunday afternoon and throws over 105 pitches in less than 5 innings work against the New York Mets. And he can't put them away. Brogdon come in. He can't put them away. So the pitching was a catastrophe this entire series outside of essentially a bullpen game in Bailey Falter where he gives you 6 crazy big innings that I didn't think he had in him, especially not against this Mets team. And then you look at the bats who were sleepwalking their way through this series. They didn't show up till yesterday afternoon. That's a problem. The lack of energy is a problem. Now, sure, you can argue that starts with management. That starts with the leader. That starts with Rob Thomson, maybe, sure. But it's an indictment on what this team was this week and the lack of energy. The fact that it bothers me. I'm not going to act like I was down there. I didn't buy a ticket. I'm to blame, right? I wasn't at the Phillies game this weekend. But the fact that New York Mets fans almost overpowered Phillies fans in Citizens Bank Park was a mess. This whole weekend was just really a disaster from start to finish. And then you lose Knebel for the year. Sir Anthony goes down. He's not throwing for the next 5 days. Good news. He should be back by the beginning of September if he heals correctly and that soreness goes away. But you lose your closer essentially, and that's why David Robertson had to throw again on Sunday. That's why he had to throw 6 outs on Saturday for the Phillies to have a fighting chance at a win. But you go through all this, obviously still no Bryce Harper. You lost Brandon Marsh last series. Like, this team is so unlucky at the moment, so injury plagued. It's a problem, and it showed against a very, very good team. But even after all of that, whoever you want to blame the pitching, you want to blame the bats, the lack of energy, you want to blame the manager for some of the mistakes he showed with the bullpen usage this weekend. All fair, all valid reasons and explanations for why the Phillies dropped 3 of 4 in a critical series this season. But after all of that, I'm still not that worried. I'm not down and out on this team, and I'm not saying that anybody that is slightly worried or anybody that blames either side for this loss is totally down and out. But I'm seeing a lot of negative posts, a lot of negative feelings towards this Phillies team on TikTok, on Twitter, on social media all weekend long. And now all I hear is this team is not a good team. This team only beats the bad teams on their schedule. That's why they're in this position. That's why they have this record. They only beat up on the bad teams. They beat nobody. They can't beat the Mets. I'm not saying the Phillies are a better team than the Mets. They're not. Let's not get that twisted with what I'm about to say. And 100% acting like we got swept in the damn playoff series. And I'll wrap that up before we get into tonight's game. But don't get it twisted. Don't think what I'm about to say means that I think the Phillies are a better team than the Mets. I think they're 5-14 on the season against New York. They're not. They got outclassed. That showed. But it's getting tiring, guys. After another series loss to the Mets specifically, I have to hear how this team shouldn't be a playoff team. Again, that they only beat up on the bad teams. Blah, 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 freaking blah. How many times do I have to grab this microphone right here and spell out how the Phillies have fared all year? Undermanned, injured, losing Bryce Harper, everything. How they fared all year against good teams, against other playoff teams that sit in the playoff picture as we speak today. They won the season series over the Dodgers. They had the tiebreakers over the Cardinals and the Brewers. They're 500 with the Braves this year. The big bad Braves who are about to catch the Mets. They're 6-6 with Atlanta this season. But you're all going to tell me, because they struggle against New York specifically, that they only beat the bad teams, that they're not a good team anymore. We have blinders on when it comes to this team, and they're going to be one and done when it comes to this playoff series if they get there in October. And that's the part I'm really struggling with. And that's why I had to come on here and do this pregame show solo today, because I had to get this all off my chest. Whoever you want to blame, Rob Thomson, the players, whatever you want to do, it's all fair. It's all valid. That does not mean this series loss equals the Phillies being a bad team. They're not deserving of a playoff spot. They're going to be one and done in the playoff, in the lone playoff series they get. And I can't get behind that, man. Sure, I'm going to be hesitant to think that they can win a series if they see the Mets in the playoffs. 110%. But how many times do I have to grab this right here and tell you guys what their records are? It's on paper. It's on the internet. You can go look it up. They don't just beat the bad teams in front of them. They've beaten successful, good, talented playoff teams on their schedule all year long. That's why they're in this position. They don't just have a wild card spot at the moment. They have tiebreakers over the teams chasing them or that they're trying to get up in front of. That's why they're in this position, because they've been able to accomplish and pile up series victories versus not only the bad teams like the Pirates and the Nationals and the Marlins and the Reds, who they're going to see again tonight, but they've beaten the good teams like the Braves, like the Dodgers, like the Brewers, like the Cardinals. So that's it. That's my rant on the whole situation. This weekend, I know maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm too lackadaisical. Maybe I'm too laid back when it comes to this Phillies team at the moment, right here on August 22nd. Maybe I should be more fired up for the showing that they put out there this weekend. They're injury plagued at the moment, missing the NL MVP. Like this again, this is not, I'm not saying that the Phillies fully armed, fully manned can beat this Mets team. No. But this is not the Phillies team that they're going to see in the playoffs if they get there. This Phillies team will have Bryce Harper. They'll have Sir Anthony Dominguez fully healthy. They didn't have Kyle Schwarber last weekend when they lost up in New York. They have him again. Hopefully they'll have Brandon Marsh and not Bradley Zimmer playing center field. Like guys, like they put up that fight. Again, maybe I'm wrong for calling it a fight. But we've had Bradley Zimmer and Matt Vierling and Nick Maton and Bailey Falter on this lineup card against the fully loaded Mets squad. I don't know why. I know the series ended poorly, and it's a gut punch. It is a sour taste to bounce back after a loss like that in the manner in which they lost that game yesterday. But to analyze the series as a whole as this big shocker, oh my God, they lost 3 or 4 versus the Mets. The only thing you should be arguing is maybe that they showed a lack of heart, or the Mets are in their heads. Now, I have no idea what to tell you. But to come away from this series with the thought process, with the explanation that the Phillies are now not a good team, they're not a playoff team, they're going to lose whatever series they get in the playoffs, that is total, utter BS to me. I can't get behind it, and who knows? Maybe they'll continue to prove you wrong. Maybe they'll prove me wrong. Maybe they'll show their true colors over the next couple of weeks, but I highly doubt that. So let's get into tonight's matchup, because tonight's matchup, although it is against one of those bad teams that no one's going to care, if they sweep the Reds in this 4-game series, if they win 3 or 4, no one's going to care because it's just another bad team they racked a W up against. But it does take a lot to win in this league. It does take a lot to win a game at this level. So the Phillies, Noah Syndergaard on the bump versus Luis Cessa on the bump for the Reds tonight. And what am I looking for specifically when it comes to this Phillies matchup? I'm looking for the same thing I've seen this team do for the past 3 months. And here comes the positivity train, guys. I'm still on it. I'm going to keep yelling and screaming at you. What have they been able to do all year long? When they lose a bad series, when they lose a bad game, when they blow a lead, blow a save, their backs are against the wall, against adversity. They've been able to have a short memory and respond with their backs up against the wall. And that is what I am looking for tonight. The manner in which you lost that series, the manner in which you lost that baseball game yesterday, leaves a sour taste in the fans' mouth, and you know it has to have left a sour taste in their mouth. When you see Gene Segura hit that home run in the 8th inning and give that jump, that leap around first base, his helmet nearly goes flying off. You see JT rip one past Edwin Diaz's head in the bottom of the 9th and yell something at the dugout as he's running by, like, let's go. This team wanted that win. They knew they needed that win. It is not time to hang your heads right now. It is time to bounce back and beat whoever is in front of you. And I think that's what they'll do tonight. So how can they do that? Hey, let's start with the pitching matchup. So like I said, Noah Syndergaard on the mound tonight. It hasn't been the prettiest of 3 games, 3 starts since he's been in a Phillies uniform. But each start, he's gotten progressively better. And Adam, what's up, buddy? I see you. I didn't mean to skip over your comment. Thanks for tuning in. Give me your thoughts on tonight's matchup, guys. How do you think the Phillies fare against the Cincinnati Reds tonight in Game 1? But each start for Noah Syndergaard has gotten better. He's improved. He's throwing different stuff. And listen, quite frankly, he's learning how to pitch and use all of the tools that he has. He can't throw 99, 100, 101 anymore. He can't do it. So he can't just overpower you in the batter's box anymore. So he's got to learn how to use that slider, learn how to use that curveball, learn how to locate that sinker, right? And that's what he's starting to do in these games in a Phillies uniform. And they're 3-0 in the starts that Noah Syndergaard has. And then you look at Luis Cessa. He's 3-1 on the year. He hasn't worked a lot for the Reds. 37 2/3 innings. He's got a 5.5 ERA, a 1.46 WHIP, and he's got a 28-15 strikeout to walk ratio. This is another kid who the Phillies lineup should be able to get on base against and pile on against early on. And now how can the Phillies do that? Well, let's see who they are starting tonight. Kyle Schwarber DHing, leading off for the Philadelphia Phillies. Rhys Hoskins batting second at first base. Alec Boehm in the 3-hole at third base. JT catching, cleaning up. Nick Castellanos in right field hitting 5th. Bryson Stott hitting 6th at shortstop. Gene Segura back in the lineup hitting 7th at second base. Kind of weird to see Gene in the 7-hole. I'll get to that in a second. Nick Maton hitting 8th in left field, and Bradley Zimmer in center field wrapping up that order. And this is what I'm talking about. Look at this lineup. Is this the Phillies lineup that you think we're going to see in the postseason? No. Nick Maton will not be in it. Bradley Zimmer will not be in it. JT won't be cleaning up anymore. It's a great question, Adam. It's tough, man, because I've been a guy all season where I know he's not hitting for a high average whatsoever, but I've liked Schwarber in the leadoff spot. And I remember when he was hurt for a short stint not too long ago, it's like, oh, well, what's he going to do? And Stock gets put in that leadoff spot, and he thrived. Dude. He was hitting over 300 in the leadoff spot, had like a 5-game hit streak going for the Phillies. So it's tough to take him out of there, but you do see Rob Thomson having more trust, more faith in Bryson Stott with a bat in his hands because of where he's at. He's not leading off anymore with Schwarber back, but he's hitting 6. He's got him above Segura. A couple weeks ago, Schwarber leading off, Stott probably batting 8th or 9th, and that's where he was in this lineup for a while, and he's not doing that anymore. He's got him above Gene. I don't know. That's probably, I'm looking at it now. I know everyone's up in arms about it. It's probably to break up the lefties at the bottom end. You don't want Stott, Maton, Zimmer, and then Schwarber coming back up. 4 lefties in a row. You break it up with the righty in the middle there with Gene. So I get it from Rob Thompson's point of view. But again, they're not fully staffed. Bradley Zimmer, Nick Maton, it doesn't look pretty. But against Luis Cessa, this should be a lineup that can still get to him. And they're going to need to. Because it's not just so much of what Noah Syndergaard can give you. And Scotty, what's going on, buddy? Thanks for checking in. Noah Syndergaard's realistically not going to give you more than 6. Like I know he went into the 8th in his last start. Like 7 max for me. 6 is more likely. And man, with the way this bullpen is depleted at the moment, there's no way Robertson's throwing today. He's shut down today. We all know that. You don't have Sir Anthony. You don't have Knebel. Alvarado threw yesterday. I don't know what he did the day before that. So I have no idea what this bullpen's shaping out to be. So even though this is one of those less talented teams we're talking about the Phillies beating up on in the Cincinnati Reds, it's not going to be a walk in the park because you might have a struggling, depleted bullpen throwing from the 6th, 7th inning on. Doesn't matter who you're throwing against. That can be a concern for this Phillies team. But again, guys, even after all of that, all these reasons to be hesitant, all these reasons to be down and out on this Phillies team that just made us look silly against a rival in New York, against the dreaded, stinking, dirty Mets, I'm not worried. I think they take care of business tonight. And I think it's really the top of the order does what they've been doing against these bad teams all year long. I think you see Kyle Schwarber, JT Realmuto, Alec Bohm, Nick Castellanos. I think you continue to see them step up, and that's where a lot of your production is going to come from tonight versus Cessa. And one of those guys, if not multiple, will hit the long ball tonight. Now, I was looking at best bets for you guys before we wrap up here, and I don't know what really sticks out to me. So if you want a small little same game parlay, something tiny just to sprinkle on it, it's not bad, honestly. Like when you look at best bets and we go with single bets, if you can grab something at plus 100, plus 120, plus 110, whatever it is, plus money is good money, right? Now again, it's a little 3-leg parlay, and it doesn't scream lock, but against a bad Reds team, again after getting your ass kicked at home, you know they're going to want to bounce back. If you parlay Alec Bohm, Gene Segura, and Rhys Hoskins to record a hit each, 1+ hit each, it's plus 150. It's not the same as just needing one thing. I get it. Guy could go 4. Rhys could strike out 3 times. I don't know. But I don't think that's a bad bet to look at there if you want to have a little bit of fun with it in terms of a same-game parlay. If I'm going just straight up, let's see, home run odds. Don't love it. See, some of the odds just aren't great in terms of hits. Alec Bohm over 1.5 total bases is minus 105. Kind of like that a lot. JT over 1.5 bases is plus 105. Gene over 1.5 plus 155. I think you really can't go wrong with any of the heavy hitters in this Phillies lineup to go for 2 bases tonight, whether that's Gene, whether that's JT, whether that's Alec Bohm. Abe, what is good? Man, long time no see in the comments, Abe, but appreciate you nonetheless. Bryce is making his rehab assignment debut hopefully tomorrow, or he leaves tomorrow and then he'll make it Wednesday. I forget what the tweet I read was, but he's back. He's almost back, maybe as long as everything is steady and cool. Over the course of this next week or so on this rehab assignment, you're probably looking around September 1st, September 2nd target date for Bryce. Only thing that doesn't suck, obviously, you get Bryce back. I don't care where it is. This team needs him. But it's not going to be at Citizens Bank Park. His debut back is more likely going to be on the road, whether that's in San Francisco or in Arizona. I think they have a West Coast trip over there for a little bit. So that's probably around the target date you're looking at for Bryce Harper. Obviously, never a negative when Bryce Harper gets back in this lineup. Would have been cool, right? Would have been kind of cool to have him back at Citizens Bank Park. You want to talk about Phillies fans getting overruled by Mets fans at home? Talk about Phillies ticket sales being down, not being down, but families struggling to pay. Guarantee the day he's back, or if that debut would have been at home, that place would have been damn near sold out, if not sold out. Guys, that is going to wrap up this edition of DSM Pregame Live, Phillies Reds Game 1 preview. Appreciate everyone who tuned in live, everybody who commented along, and whoever's going to watch this. We got a little bit more time. We got about an hour and a half, hour and 40 until the Phillies' first pitch against Cincinnati kicks off tonight. Hopefully the rain holds off. I did see there was rain in the forecast in the Philadelphia, South Jersey area. So if that holds off, would love to get Phillies baseball back in action tonight, because you don't want that sour taste, that gut punch lingering for too long, right? This isn't an Eagles game. This isn't where they lose to the Cowboys on Sunday. They got a bye week the week after that, and you're just sitting there for 14, 15 days waiting for them to get that bad taste out of your mouth. It's the great thing about baseball, right? They get to play again the very next day and get that positive feeling back into this clubhouse, and they so desperately need it. I'm going Phillies win. I think the bats roar tonight. I know they put a 9 spot on the Mets yesterday, but they didn't do anything the prior 3 games to that in that series. I'm going to go Phillies win 6-3. I'll go Phillies win 6-3. If you like the Phillies run line, take that. Phillies money line, do whatever you got to do to win yourself some money tonight. But the Phillies will not hurt your bank flow tonight. Guys, check me out on Twitter at DylanJD98. Check us all out on Twitter at DSM_media. Abe going with an 8-3 victory. I like it. I love it. And I want some more of it. That was the corniest thing I've ever said here live, Abe. But Phillies back in action tonight. Guys, check us out tomorrow right here on DSM Media. Trending in the AM, I'll be on with my man at Bearded Knowledge, Phil Stifle, in the morning, talking about this Phillies game tonight, talking more Eagles, I'm sure. Faithful Fanatics with myself and Gint will be live at 5 p.m. tomorrow right here on DSM Media. And then following that, myself and whoever feels like joining me, whether that be Phil, whether that be my co-host on the pregame live, George Ryder, will be back getting you ready for Phillies Reds Game 2 of a 4-game set. Have a great night, win some money, and go Phils.